Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
Big changes coming in the way it feels. Our muggy beater is about to drop from tropical down to comfy over the next few days. I'll show you what that will feel like and how long it will last.
Plus, 3 teenagers are now facing murder charges tied to their involvement in a deadly shooting. What these arrests show us about the greater trend of young people involved in homicides in Raleigh.
And today we'll learn more about the plan to move Red Hat Amphitheater. People are signed up to weigh in on the benefits and drawbacks before a final decision is made. You made the right decision here, 6 a.m. on your Tuesday, to join us for news. Get your day started. I'm Jeff Hogan.
And I'm Renee Chu. A very unique sunrise happening here. It's looking more reddish, but we are just in love with the supermoon out there, and we still get to see it. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center with a look at that.
We have had some clouds stream in across parts of the viewing area this morning, but there are definitely some places where we can see that supermoon. One of those is right here on our live camera at Pinehurst. You can sort of see it through the clouds there, looking absolutely gorgeous. So the supermoon is where it looks about 30% brighter than normal, and it is definitely a gorgeous sight out there if you get a chance to look at it. Around the triangle, it is 72 with a dew point of 67. I expected it to drop a little bit more than that, but the cloud cover is keeping our temperatures steady and not really allowing that drop. But northerly flow getting into the day today is going to keep our temperatures cooler this afternoon. Right now, it's low 70s in Fayetteville and Clinton, 60s for Goldsboro, Rocky Mount, South Hill, Roxborough, and Southern Pines. So temperatures are falling in some places, and a comfortable afternoon with high temperatures in the low 80s. I'll show you how long we'll see these comfortable conditions sticking around. Coming up, Eric.
Elizabeth, taking a look at traffic here this morning. We're still following this crash down here just south of Raleigh, Jones Sausage Road eastbound. Show you where it is exactly. This may be presenting a little bit of an issue if you're headed into the city that way, but you can see there on the sensors, we're not picking up any major backups or delays at this point. So just keep that in mind if you're headed that way. Otherwise, drive time's looking pretty good around the whole region. Taking a live look outside right now. This is NC 147 at Mangum. You can see the sky starting to lighten up there over the DBAP and the American Tobacco campus as we get that morning commute underway.
Eric, thanks. 3 teenagers are charged with murder in Raleigh this morning, more than 3 weeks after a man was found shot in a car. The shooting happened on Highgate Place in the early morning hours on July 27th. Around the same time, police found a car that crashed into a tree on Milburnie Road. A man inside the car had been shot. He later died at the hospital. Police arrested 2 16-year-olds and a 15-year-old in connection to the shooting yesterday. And these arrests bring the total number of people under the age of 18 charged in connection to homicides in Raleigh this year to at least 9. So far in 2024, Raleigh police have investigated 19 murders. Juveniles have been charged in 6 of those murders.
Today, people will share their thoughts about plans to move Red Hat Amphitheater. This is their chance to share their opinion before a final vote next month. WRAL's Laura Levine joins us live from Red Hat. And Laura, moving the location could have some big impacts to those businesses around that area.
Jeff, good morning. And I learned from the city of Raleigh more than 30 people plan to speak out at tonight's city council meeting. The majority of them do plan to share their opinions about the future of this iconic staple here in the heart of downtown. I can tell you from looking at the list, the opinions are split. So here's what's at stake. The city is considering moving Red Hat a block south and to expand the Raleigh Convention Center. And this would force a portion of South Street between Dawson and McDowell to close. Some neighbors against the move in the Boylan Heights community have shared these renderings to show how this could be done without isolating communities from downtown. The convention center plans to add 300 square feet of space to bring the total to about 800,000 square feet. And more than $387 million has been allocated to help pay for the expansion and relocation. And we know that business leaders, they say if this plan doesn't go forward, the city could be at risk of losing the amphitheater altogether, and with it, tens of millions of dollars in direct economic impact. So tonight, the city will meet and they will discuss the purchase of property that will help with this move. They're also going to set another public hearing, if you will, scheduled for September 17th. Laura Levine, WRAL News. We're live in Raleigh.
Good morning, Chris Lovingood here in the WRAL Live Center. Get some printing off the printer here, some notes real quick from Raleigh Police. Essentially learning about at least 14 car break-ins that they're telling us about this morning. It actually happened over the weekend. Let me pull up a map here to show you where this is. This is a Google Street View of where this happened. This was on Little Briar Creek Lane and what appears to be a Residence Inn Courtyard by Marriott, according to investigators. Now, in terms of what was stolen here, I mean, it looks like a value of about $2,700+ We're talking about things such as tools, supplies, and drills from most of these vehicles. There was even, I think, a phone that was stolen from another one. But in terms of damage, we're talking more than $80,000 in value damage, according to that police report there. Two of the vehicles that were damaged were two Ford F-150s. Obviously, those are not cheap by any means. But the biggest thing here that we're trying to figure out, who is responsible for this? So if you stay with WRAL News, we'll try to get more specifics from investigators learning if there's any surveillance video, if anyone saw anything. Look for updates here on WRAL News.
Students across North Carolina are on wait lists that are months long to get driver's education. Today, the State Board of Education will talk about ways to reduce that wait time. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey joins us live from the DMV on Avent Ferry Road in Raleigh. And Kelsey, this backup comes as the number of driving instructors has dropped.
Renee, it does, and there are even some folks here who are outside of the DMV already waiting in line this morning at 6 o'clock. So we're expecting to get an update this morning on the status of driver's ed in our state. We've been staying on top of this issue for months now. We spoke with Athens Drive High School student Adelaide Anderson. She was waiting in line for hours yesterday. Anderson has been trying to earn her driver's permit for weeks. There's a 3 to 5 month wait time for behind the wheel driving instruction in Wake schools. A drop in the number of instructors coupled with the increased number of teenagers are to blame. Anderson says she's been to 3 different DMV locations between Newton, Sanford, and Raleigh. She says she had the same experience at each one. Long wait times with no guarantee of service. She says some students at her school gave up on the process.
Some of them from my school, they wait until they're like 18 to finally go get their driver's license because it takes too long.
So we're expecting to hear an update about driver's ed this morning at 10 o'clock. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
We're heading into day 2 of the Democratic National Convention with this live look inside Chicago's United Center, where the theme of tonight's event is a bold vision for America's future. Former President Barack Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama will be keynote speakers. Other speakers tonight include Second Gentleman Doug Emhoff and Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker.
President Biden passed the torch to his vice president and his party's nominee, Kamala Harris, during his address last night. He walked onto stage to a standing ovation. Biden laid out the case as to why he thinks Harris is best suited to continue the work they've done over the past 3.5 years.
She's tough, she's experienced, and she has enormous integrity, enormous integrity. Her story represents the best American story.
Biden talked about many of his administration's achievements and shared the credit with Harris. He said picking Harris as a running mate was the best decision he ever made.
Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton also took the stage as the first woman to receive a major party's presidential nomination in 2016. She urged voters to help shatter the glass ceiling by electing Harris as the first female president.
Kamala has the character, experience, and vision to lead us forward.
Biden and Clinton are 2 former Trump opponents. They made the case to defeat him in November and send Harris and Walz to the White House.
While people gathered inside for the opening night of the DNC, thousands of people outside were protesting the war in Gaza. Dozens of protesters broke through a security fence blocks from the convention center. Several protesters were detained by police, but police have not released an exact number. It is estimated that at one point, close to 6,000 activists made their way through Chicago's West Side. NBC News coverage of the Democratic National Convention continues this morning on Today. It gets started at 7 right here on WRAL.
Meantime, former President Donald Trump is pushing forward with his campaign. Today, he'll be in Michigan for a crime and safety event. His running mate, J.D. Vance, will be at an event in Kenosha, Wisconsin. And Trump participated in a roundtable discussion on the economy in York, Pennsylvania yesterday. He talked about his plan to cut taxes and attacked Vice President Harris's economic plan.
Every policy in Kamala Harris's radical liberal playbook sends jobs and wealth to other countries.
Trump and Vance will be in North Carolina tomorrow. He'll be in Asheboro for an address on national security, and WRAL's Ashley Rowe will be there for live reports throughout the day.
A Wake County man has been arrested and charged with felony secret peeping. Investigators say he secretly recorded a woman in the restroom of a business. The Wake County Sheriff's Office says 28-year-old Colton Redmond is being held on a $1,000 bond. Deputies arrested Redmond at a real estate company near Garner Bannister Properties. WRAL tried to reach out to the company, but it was closed and no one answered the phone. Deputies did not say if they believe Redmond has done this before.
Today, the State Board of Elections will talk about how to move forward after a federal judge ruled it must allow Cornel West on the presidential ballot. Last week's ruling overturned a previous decision by the Board of Elections. The board had ruled to keep West off the ballot because of questions it had about the signatures his Justice for All party got to earn him access. The meeting gets started at 12:30 this afternoon. We're at 10 after 6 right now on your Tuesday. Historic flooding still in the Northeast. The monumental effort to clean up for people in Connecticut and what they are facing.
And search efforts continue this morning after a yacht sank in Italy. 6 people missing, including some prominent businessmen. We'll have the latest. And here locally, we're tracking some really nice weather, Elizabeth.
We are. It's still a little bit on the muggy side right now. Our muggy meter is sitting at steamy, but by later this afternoon, it's going to drop significantly. And I'll show you how long we'll have this lovely weather. Stick around.
As you get into your car, tune to WRAL News Plus on your radio. In Raleigh on 99.3 FM. In Durham, 96.5 FM. And everywhere on 101.5 HD3.
6:13. We are waking up to some clouds across a good bit of the area. That's keeping our temperatures from dropping very much, but we will still see a very pleasant afternoon and a drop in our humidity. But cloudy skies in Durham right now, 72. You can see gray skies hanging over downtown Raleigh, 72. A bit more sunshine there as the sun comes up in Fayetteville. Skies are mostly clear there, 71 degrees. So heading out the door, it doesn't feel too bad. Our temperatures are ranging from the mid 60s to low 70s, just depending on where you are. And we will see plenty of sunshine later this afternoon. It's pretty comfortable walking the dog this morning. Our temperatures will climb only into the low 80s this afternoon, and we'll see plenty of sunshine. This gorgeous weather sticks around for a while, but we're not finished with summer weather completely. I'll show you when it's a little hotter and stickier again. Coming up, Eric.
Elizabeth, taking a look at traffic here this morning. You can see it's mostly green across the map. We are seeing a little slowdown there on the Beltline near Six Forks Road, and we're also tracking a crash down here on Jones Sausage Road eastbound. So we're going to learn exactly how serious that crash is, whether anybody was injured. We're not seeing any backups at this point, but it's something you'll want to keep in mind if you're headed that way. Otherwise, looking pretty darn good across the map as we take a live look out here. I-85 at Falls Lake. You can see a beautiful sunrise there, something for folks to enjoy as they're making that commute into the city this morning.
A state of emergency has been declared in Connecticut after torrential rain Sunday triggered massive flooding, killed 2 people there. Dozens of roads are washed out. State transportation leaders say the cleanup is going to take some time. Governor Ned Lamont is asking for federal assistance. Over the next few days, Connecticut State Police will be using dogs and drones to survey the damage. The Department of Health, Public Health there, responding as well, focusing on nursing homes and hospitals.
Search efforts are underway right now in Italy after a luxury yacht sank, killing 1 person. 6 others are missing. WRAL's Michelle McConaughey is here now with what happened and where that search stands. Michelle.
Yeah, Renee, British tech tycoon Mike Lynch, the chairman of Morgan Stanley International, Jonathan Bloomer, and 4 others are missing this morning. The vessel was hit by a violent storm yesterday around 4 a.m. local time. The anchored yacht capsized near the port of Porticello around an hour later. 22 people were on board, including passengers and crew. Rescue crews located the vessel at a depth of 163 feet. So far, they've recovered 1 body. The Coast Guard said the ship's cook had died. Right now, deepwater divers are trying to access the hull. 15 people were rescued, including Lynch's wife and a 1-year-old little girl. This, of course, is a very active investigation happening right now. We'll keep you updated.
Covering Wake County, a plan to buy new land for a drop-in shelter has gotten approval from the Board of Commissioners. They voted yesterday in favor of the idea. The plan is to buy land in Raleigh outside the Beltline at Old Wake Forest Road and Millbrook Road for just under $2 million. An old AT&T server building sits on that land right now. A shelter would not require rezoning, but would require a special use permit. The project would be a partnership with the city. It could open by mid-2025.
Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center now, taking a look at what's going to be a nice feeling week.
Yeah, it's going to be so nice. We had so much heat and humidity through the summer, and typically we're still seeing that in August. So this is a little sneak peek of fall, but it isn't going to stay that way, going forward. Eventually it will, but we give it another month before we'll just settle into this kind of weather. But enjoy it this week. Our humidity will be falling over the next few days. It'll start to feel a little bit more like September through at least Friday, maybe even into Saturday, and then summer returns next week. Temperatures start to warm up a little bit by the time we get to Sunday and into Monday. There's a look at that supermoon hanging over Pinehurst here at Pinehurst Resort and Country Club. It's been beautiful. And thank you to everybody who sent us photos. We've gotten a lot of Weather Watcher photos of that beautiful moon in your backyard. Love it. We had a cold front move off the coast overnight last night, and that is allowing the air to now come from the north. The wind streams are coming right out of Canada, and that's going to keep things so much cooler. Tomorrow morning, 62. Tomorrow afternoon, 80 degrees. It's really going to feel phenomenal. Our normal high right now is 89. So this is going to be about 10 degrees cooler than normal. And it stays feeling very pleasant all the way through Saturday with some very nice, pleasant mornings and more comfortable afternoons. But take a look at that temperature change. The blue shaded areas are where the temperatures are feeling nice. We take it on out to Monday, and we start to see some heat building in the middle of the country, and that starts to move on. And we'll get into more of a southwesterly flow. Watch that high moving this way. We're going to see more of a southwesterly flow. That heat returns as we get into especially Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and that's going to overtake a good bit of the country. And all the cooler air will be back off to the west. We've had a good bit of rain, of course, over the last month or so, so we're looking good. We're not likely to see any rain in the forecast through the weekend. So it's a dry, cool, very comfortable pattern, but it's okay if we don't get any rain this week. For the last 30 days, we've seen as much as 225 to 275% of our normal rainfall. So we are all good. We take a look at the tropics. Just one more kind of glance at Hurricane Ernesto. It's moving past some of the Canadian provinces, still as a hurricane, but it moves on up through the North Atlantic and will fizzle out in the next couple of days. Yesterday, our rip current danger was still high, but it's down to moderate. If you're headed to the beaches over the weekend, just make sure that you check before you head out. There is nothing happening in the tropics, most likely for the next 7 days, but we get into the next 2 or 3 weeks, and we have at least a 60% chance that something could develop there off the coast of Africa, and that's really normal for this time of year. We are in the peak of the hurricane season. Enjoy this beautiful weather while we have it. We do have one 90-degree day in the 7-day forecast, Eric. It is still August.
Yeah, it's the end of August. I will absolutely we've got one night in the 50s, so it's a fair trade. It's a fair trade. Taking a look at traffic here this morning, things looking pretty darn good all the way across the board. There's a lot of green out there today. And we do have this one crash down here, Jones Sausage Road eastbound, that we're still keeping our eyes on. Looking at the sensors there, we're not seeing any major backups, any major delays tied to this, but something you want to keep an eye on if you're headed in that way this morning. Otherwise, looking pretty darn good all the way across the area. NC 147 at Mangum, you can see the sun coming up there. Things not too busy on the roads just yet. We'll, of course, keep our eyes on this as it changes.
Tonight, families of students at a Wilson County school badly damaged by a tornado will learn more about the plans for the coming school year, how they are getting ready to return to class after the tornado less than 2 weeks ago.
Wake County Schools wants to make sure it has enough laptops for students. The work that's being done now to get thousands of computers into their hands.
And you're winning NC Education lottery numbers on your screen right now. We'll be right back with what's trending.
This What's Trending report, sponsored by Rug & Home.
Stranger Things star Millie Bobby Brown is trying her hand working on the other side of the camera.
Now we have a look at what's trending here for you this morning, and Deadline reports Brown is developing a feature adaptation of her debut novel called 19 Steps. It'll air on Netflix, and they report Brown will produce the project, may star in it as well. The World War II novel was inspired by Brown's grandmother.
Yeah, the novel came out in September of last year. It follows 18-year-old Nellie Morris and how she falls for an American airman, and then the war turns her world upside down. Millie Bobby Brown is only 20 years old, so she has 2 Emmy nominations for Stranger Things. She writes this book. Now she's going to produce a movie. What can't she do?
Yeah, it's pretty good talent right there,
Yeah.
for sure.
Well, some Star Wars fans are bummed this morning because The Acolyte will not return for season 2. This came as a surprise to a lot of fans because the Disney Plus series ended the first season on a cliffhanger and with many teases to plot lines for a second season.
Yeah, but not going to happen. You know, the star in this is Korean born and learned English for the role. And folks who are in the know say he did a pretty good job on his English. But also, informal poll around our crew here. Not everyone is disappointed that it's not coming back. Didn't like the first season. Ooh. Not really upset that it's not coming back. I guess that's why it's not coming back overall. We are getting some amazing images of last night's supermoon from around the world. You can see it here rising over Sugarloaf Mountain in Rio de Janeiro. During a supermoon, the moon inches a little closer to Earth than usual, so it looks bigger. Check out the blue supermoon rising there over the iconic Sydney Opera House. Beautiful. You can be a WRAL weather watcher. Just show us pictures, the best ones you have of this blue supermoon or anything else. If you have a photo or video you want to share with us, just go to WRAL.com/weatherwatchers, and we may share it on TV or feature it online.
This morning on Today, it is a big birthday celebration. Al Roker is 70 today. Tune in this morning for a party on the plaza with surprises in store. Al is also kicking off his special birthday series where he talks with others who've recently turned 70. And his first guest is Oprah Winfrey. Today airs at 7 on WRAL.
Around here, things are going to feel pretty nice. It's a little on the sticky side this morning, but our dew point and our humidity about to fall dramatically. I'll show you how long that will last.
The Raleigh City Council will ramp up conversations about a controversial move here in downtown. We're talking about how dozens of people plan to speak out for and against potential changes to the Red Hat Amphitheater.
And you know, the next time you go to vote, you may only need to bring your phone. The decision coming today that may allow students to use their digital IDs at the polls.